recording. Let me get my camera here. There. Thank you for tuning in to That Girl Ruby 216. And I would like for you to hit that like button, hit the share button, and the subscribe button. I have some really juicy content coming up for the end of this year and going into 2022. But as promised, I am going to deliver a message to you coming from the first book of Samuel, verse 19. I would suggest that you go and read this story for yourself. Start from the beginning. The story is about Saul and David, and this jealousy, this issue of jealousy is my topic. And I'm pulling my resources from 1 Samuel, verse 19. Go and take a look at it and hit that subscribe button. So, real quick. Saul was the king of Israel. But Saul had a problem. Saul had an anger problem. He had a disobedient problem. He had an ego problem. And he was emotionally distressed. The Bible describes it as an evil spirit that had fallen upon Saul. So in comes David. David is a shepherd boy. He's small in stature. I'm going to imagine that maybe he was about the size of Prince. That's just me using my imagination. But David was a shepherd boy, and all he would do is just tend to sheep. But David was also a warrior. He was a born fighter, and he was a musician. He played the harp. So David ends up in Saul's life because David played the harp, and it was recommended that David come to visit Saul, to play for him, to make him feel better when Saul was having his depression episodes. It got to the point where Saul grew to really have favor for David because David played the harp so well, and he eased Saul when he was going through his issues, his emotional issues. So as we move down the line, Saul asked David to come into his camp. He says, hey, you're really great. You're awesome. I want to keep you in my camp. I want you to be my armor bearer. So David becomes his armor bearer. As we move through the years, David and Saul and the Israel army goes against the Philistine army. And this is the story where I know you've heard it about David fighting Goliath. And he beats Goliath, who was on the Philistines team. And so now the Israelites are free and they're not slaves. And this is big celebration. And when they come back to the town, everybody's cheering for Saul. But when David comes back, David gets more accolades from the townspeople because he slayed Goliath. So they're cheering for Saul, but they're really cheering for David. And Saul doesn't like this. Saul ends up hating David to the point where he was driven mad about it. He thought about it day and night. I am going to kill David. This is interesting because we go from Saul really liking David to Saul really hating David because David was just being who he was. Have you ever experienced that? Just going about your daily life, going about just being you, working on you, getting, and somebody's looking at you out the side of their eye like, how did he get that house? Oh, I heard she had bad credit. How did she get that brand new car over there? What makes her think that she deserves that position? Someone is looking at you, and like King Saul, they have become jealous of you, and you have not done anything wrong, just like David. You're just being you. It could be your mother, it could be your husband, it could be your wife, it could be your best friend, it could be somebody that you don't even know. The Bible says that King Saul began to watch David. Looking at him. What is he doing? Where is he going? Why are all these people liking him so much? Saul was jealous. Saul was a king, and he was jealous of this shepherd boy because this shepherd boy had skills. Who's that Saul in your life that's looking at you sideways? Is it you? It better not be you. Jealousy, people, is a horrible emotion. It makes you ugly. It makes you, it's all over you, and it will drive you insane. If you're dealing with jealousy, I hope and I pray that the spirit is released from you. If you know someone who is jealous of you, there's nothing that you can do about it but amp yourself up. Be your best self. Do not compromise. Do not worry about them. And do not keep camp with them if at all possible. I have been there. I have been in relationships with people who I knew were jealous of me, and it does not turn out well. Take my advice. Live your life to the best of your ability. Don't mind the haters. Swipe them left and keep on living a great, wonderful life and being you. Be David. Be the best person that you can be and get all the Sauls out of your life if at all possible. Jealousy is ugly, and it's a horrible outfit to put on. Click like and share, subscribe. I will have more content probably about this coming up more, because this is really juicy when you read this story. But thank you for tuning in, and I will see you soon. All of my rubies out there, have a wonderful day and be your best self always.